All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London's Blue Podcast
come on.
live edition, coming to you after Chelsea do what we do like nobody else, beat Tottenham Hotspur in wonderful fashion. Whether it's a 1-0, whether it's a 2-1, we don't care what it is. We don't care about the end result. Beating Tottenham is just in Chelsea's DNA. We're live on YouTube for this episode. We got Nick here. We got a good friend, Dennis. You know him as Couch Critic. We've got Sam, CFC Central, myself, Dan, as well. And we are just going to get into this one because on a day where Tottenham can only manage a 0.05 XG, that is right. That is not a mathematical or computational error, Nick. Chelsea got it done. Could have done more on a 2.92 XG for Chelsea. Again, probably made you at times feel like a why couldn't we close this out type of game, but it never really felt in doubt. Like this was the most toothless this Spurs team have been, I think, all season.
Yeah, I mean, we never had to get out of second gear in this entire game. It was so casual. It was so slow. They just let us have the ball, and we just kind of like, all right, we'll pass it here, we'll pass it there. We'll do a couple of shithouse things along the way, which is, it's a derby, so it'll happen. But it was a cruise control victory. 1-0 does not sum up the action that we just witnessed. It should have been 4 or 5. And there are levels to this game, and they are not on ours.
Tottenham lack a little bit of the history, lack a little bit of the culture, Dennis. And as we kind of think about this one, I mean, just in terms of overall thoughts and feelings on the game, what do you walk away with, like the top level kind of thought or comment that you're bringing out of this one?
I would have to say the first thing is just the endeavor and energy that we played with the entire match. Like, yeah, we didn't have to get out of second gear, but it's mainly because we were pressing so effectively that we forced into so many errors, right? So I think that the energy that we played with, the commitment to win second balls, like it's just an overall effort from the squad. And I'm going to speak on Reece James at some point, because I think there's something to be said about this guy's ability to just be a footballer. I'm not talking about right back, center back, right wing back, midfielder. This guy's just a footballer, and every time he gets on the pitch, he shows you his quality. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it there.
And Sam, maybe just as we had talked about a lot in the preview podcast about what Tottenham might do, what strengths they might leverage. I don't think we had a on the ledge prediction that they would have 3 total shots in the entire game and 0 big chances. It did feel as if Enzo Maresca really came with a plan that just neutralized anything good that this Thomas Frank Tottenham team was doing.
Absolutely. I think he got it spot on, and excellent defensive performances all along. I mean, big up to Bob Sanchez. Everything that came bombarding through the air, just grabbed it, plucked it out, completely killed the threat. So I think he was leading from the front, even though he was the guy at the back. And I think that set the stage. 14 defensive contributions from Trev Chalobah on the day, despite a yellow card. So, dominant. Wesley Fofana comes probably not 100% fit, also a rock solid performance at the back. So I think it was a good day for everybody involved. And, especially having somebody like Reece James also marshaled midfield. I think you look at that performance and you're very, very happy.
Yeah, I mean, SofaScore does give Vicario the player of the match, which I feel like is very fair. Like he kept it from being very bad for them, for sure. Like this would have been way more brutal for Tottenham in terms of a loss. I know Nick is on YouTube shaking his head no.
No.
I don't know. I think it's legitimate. I think he had a phenomenal game and kept them in this way more than what I thought they would have.
They still lost. This isn't LeBron James in the 2015 NBA Finals where it's him versus the entire Warriors. I mean, this is like it's Moises Caicedo's show and everyone else is just a part of it. And if you're looking at a performance today that's man of the match worthy, it's Moises Caicedo. He creates the goal. He stops everything that they have going through midfield. It is an absurd notion that Spurs, as bad as they were, would have the man of the match. It's absurd. It's not even worth talking about. Moises Caicedo is the best midfielder in the world, despite NBC's propaganda that Declan Rice, who's also an excellent player, is Moises Caicedo is levels above.
Just if you want to look at Vicario's stats, just in case you're wondering, 8 total saves.
Doesn't matter.
1.57 XG protected. Again, Could have been worse. But I mean, the Moises Caicedo conversation is something we can kind of talk on. Again, another kind of really brilliant performance from him on the day, just, in terms of his total, like ends up with the assist on it, a real heads up play in the box to set up Joao Pedro to get him back into firing form on it. 86% accurate passes on the day. In terms of passes in opposition half was also a little bit higher, 21 of 24, so 88%. Really, really kind of nice work that he had in this one. Sam, just when you're kind of thinking about the construction here, I mean, obviously when you kind of have Malo Gusto on the back, you put Reece James a little bit further forward, along with Moises Caicedo, getting Enzo a little bit further forward. I mean, it does feel as if maybe this is becoming the way that Enzo Maresca wants to handle, maybe teams that are trying to press a little bit more. What was your takeaway just in like, is he developing a model for these type of teams who play like Tottenham with this Reece pushes further forward, Malo Gusto starts in the back line type of moment?
Yeah, I mean, certainly helps having his athleticism at the back, at least in terms of like if you lose the press, it's not intense enough, you've got somebody of Malo Gusto's caliber to be in the rest defense, and he's supremely quick, if not anything else. So I think that's really like a part of everything that he's trying to do in terms of being absolutely strong in those areas. We've seen the press today multiple times. Tottenham get absolutely murdered when they're trying to play out. And then they try to press, and we've got the quality to weave out of it. So I think it works both ways for Maresca. So I think just back to front, the game plan was on point, and they created nothing today. Absolutely nothing. We gave them nothing today. Both sides, like we mentioned in the preview, Dan, 11 mistakes leading to shots. Not even a single one from us today. So speaks volumes for us.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good one. Dennis, I know you wanted to talk about it. You want to talk about him, Reece James. Why don't you just go off? Give us a little bit of off the top thoughts about Reece James. Kind of another big game performance from him. He loves beating the historic rivals of Chelsea or the teams we punch down on because they're really a little brother. They're not a rival at all. It's they want to be out of the shadow. They've always lived in the shadow.
They want to be in the fight, but they just don't have. They're unarmed. It's just like it's kind of a silly comparison to, like the rivalry exists only in theory. Let's just be real here, right? But no, like Reece for me, I mean, I touched on it earlier. I think that like the thing to be appreciated about this guy is wherever you put him on the pitch, he's going to give you a top level performance. I mean, he wasn't incredible today, but just the fact that he was imperious in moments where he needed it to be, and the fact that like you can play him anywhere on the pitch. You play him right back, you play him in the midfield, you play him right wing back, you play him center back. He's always giving you these stellar performances. Leadership. We talked about Chelsea, showing a lack of like leadership in some points of the game where they're either a little bit too reckless, a little bit petulant, collecting red cards. And when you have a guy like Reece James who basically just leads by example, shows you in the quality that be the reference and the quality of that what we need on the pitch. He's that and then some. I'm sick and tired of hearing these comparisons between him and like Timber and stuff like that, and like the new narrative being Reece James isn't even really playing right back anymore. I'm like, well, yeah, because he can play anywhere on the pitch and be absolutely effective for you. The things that he does on the ball. I took my notes today and I was like, you know what? Nobody wants to see Reece in the midfield long term, especially when you consider the talent that we have there. But the thing that I kind of miss when he's playing right center back or he's playing even like just right back, I miss his ability on the ball and his ball striking ability. Like I really think that we utilize that much more effectively when we see him play it as a midfielder. But again, just an imperious performance. It wasn't his best overall game, but just the fact that his quality always rises to the cream, to the top. Cream is why I just love this guy. I think that he's a worthy captain and a guy that just shows he's like the extension of what Chelsea football players should be on the pitch. He's that guy that you bring into the game, and he is the reference point for everything we want to do football wise. So yeah, hats off to him. But yeah, as Nick said earlier, without question, the man of the match today was like Caicedo, just an efficient, unbelievable, imperious performance.
Nick, on the Reece James point, just to kind of tee you in there, I mean, he's at 3 goal and assist contributions across his now 10 matches played in the Premier League this season. That leaves him at like the 23-24 season. Like he only appeared in 10 matches in the Premier League. Last season, he was at 19. So like in the first 10 games available, like he has now played in every single one if he has not necessarily started. So like in general, like he's being managed very well to be able to drive this level of impact. I think this is at the beginning of the season we were hoping for. Have we gotten to a point where Reece is now healthy enough, where he's been managed appropriately, where he's going to be able to contribute? And we're seeing it now in midfield and then also kind of in the backline defense too.
Yeah, I want to pick up on something that Dennis was saying too, because I think the great conundrum of all of this is he's equally good in attack and defense. And so in a game where, like, look, there was plenty of opportunities for Chelsea to score. We didn't do it. You can have him play a more reserved role, right, when the other players are doing what they need up front. But there's also moments this season where we're getting very little from our wingers, and you want him to be the one on the end of the through ball to make the cross in to get a goal. And I think it's just an admittance probably that the legs aren't quite there to do that. Maybe not anymore for him, which seems harsh to say, but I can deal. My ego can deal with just having him be an excellent defender and leader. And if that is the case, then it is incumbent upon other players to learn how to strike a ball like Reece James. Like these are
easier said than done there. Easy there.
I know it is, but man, like you have opportunities in this game to go do it. He shouldn't have to be the one to make the final key pass and all that sort of stuff. So I think if you had to choose, it's a healthy Reece James playing defense instead of in unhealthy, bombing up and down the wing. But man, those old days were fun, huh?
Wow. Yep.
I just want to tee up there a little bit, Dan. Just to say, I mean, when you put him in a midfield against the likes of Palhinha and Papsar, you look at his ground duels today, 12 competed and he won only 4. So there are some difficulties there in terms of coming up with actual central midfielders. But like you say, it's his quality that shines through. He gets on the ball and is like the chance that he created for Enzo Fernandez at the back post with that cross. The moment the ball comes to his foot and he puts it in, like the quality is absolutely pristine. Nobody comes close in world football. Obviously, if you've got Reece James and we've got him as like the ideal fitness, then he's keeping Vinicius Jr. quiet. He's keeping Rafael Leao quiet. So maybe like that's the final iteration. I don't think midfield is it for me.
And, maybe then as we're just kind of talking about like different parts of what was going on the pitch today, obviously attack was, had some opportunity. Nick, I think there were moments where we were very excited about how we were driving the ball forward, about some of the movement, about our positioning into the box. And then it really just came down to the final ball not being there on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different shots where Chelsea could have put it away, 3 in the last like 6 minutes. What were your thoughts or what are your takeaways just on what you were seeing within the attack today? And, obviously Moises Caicedo played a big part in kind of getting the goal. Obviously great to see Joao Pedro get a goal again after the drought that he's been suffering through, build back his confidence a little bit, but give me a couple thoughts.
Yeah, I think the irony of having Dennis on this show is, we talk about playing with our food a lot and how you got to finish it instead of playing around with it. And that was basically what this was today. So many opportunities in behind to get the final kind of nail in the coffin. And it just kind of looked like they were screwing around, candidly. Like it was not fun to watch for me the second half, because I just felt like one more goal and it could be 5. Like, I mean, it was the Spurs fans were all over them to do something. They couldn't do it. We have plenty of opportunities. Jamie Gittins puts one out of the stadium from like 6 yards away. You're like, okay. Joao Pedro screws up a couple of good chances in this game too. Like we got the win. I won't bemoan it too much, but it certainly didn't feel that serious to me up top. And I really want there to be more, especially from players who are experienced and who have that in their bag. And I just never really looked like we were going to score that second one, even though we had plenty of chances.
I mean, and this was one, Dennis, where we talked about maybe Joao Pedro having a bit of just even a shots drought as well. Like he was not finding kind of any opportunity to shoot the ball as well. In this game, he ends up shooting 3 times. He ended up resulting in 3 of the big missed chances as well in this one. So like getting into better locations in this match, getting service and support from his team members, like, a couple of things were working for him. Obviously it didn't all 100% pan out, but to see him shooting more, creating big chances, and then also converting on 1 goal, like I think it's all very promising signs, as we kind of take a look into the coming weeks and months, where we know that Lindelof is back, Joao Pedro shooting again, scoring again, all very, very positive signs for the attack.
Yeah, and like I don't mind him going 1 for 3 with shots attempted at goal. I think that the thing that was most evident today, and I want to harp back to what I was saying before, is just the press. Like so many of our opportunities were created off of just creating turnovers and pressing them with real verve and energy. And, when you get that first wave of the press, just threatening their backline as much as we did, it creates opportunities for the likes of Joao Pedro to get 1v1 and get into areas where, he can utilize his technique and touch and whatnot. The cross, I thought for sure he was going to score. The one where he volleyed it and Vicario just deflected it over. It was a great strike. Like there's no denying. It was a great strike. It was just a really good save, right? So, he's inches away from making it 2 in the match. But yeah, overall, I think what we're seeing offensively from Chelsea right now is the fact that we're missing that link between midfield and attackers. And you already know who I'm talking about. Cole Palmer is still missed. I feel like we need him to get everyone ticking. Not necessarily to just be the conduit, but also be the guy that can get on the end of things as well. So, yeah, I thought overall we created enough good opportunities with our energy and our ability to get in the face of their back line, and that is the strength of Joao Pedro. I think that he's a decent when we're picking up scraps and he's in those areas and he's got less than 8-9 defenders that he has to beat. I think he's effective in those areas, and we give him a few more of those opportunities through hard work and stuff that he's going to bag more, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it is odd to think about the fact that Cole Palmer is only featured in 3 Premier League matches for Chelsea this season. And think about how much better we would be if he got back sooner and was completely healthy. That would be a phenomenal place to be. So I think tons of kind of positive signs in that regard. Sam, as you're taking, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing about the press, and I don't know, Sam, if you might have a comment about this too. This felt like the first real press game that we had seen in a while, like where the press was consistent and it was taking risks. It was moving a bunch of players forward. It was pressing them into terrible situations. I haven't seen it like this in a while. It was kind of refreshing for me. I don't know if you share that same sentiment.
I do. I think there was something different about it. Obviously, you can point to individual moments. For example, Reece James was absolutely livid that Bentancur wasn't sent off. And the first press that he does after the halftime is he pushes Bentancur into the corner flag, keeps him there, and essentially wins the ball back. I think there was a little bit of London derby, a little bit of should have been off kind of also going in terms of if I micro analyze those incidents. But yeah, overall, I think there was a lot more energy. We've seen those performances against, say, Sunderland, where none of it was there. And then obviously you come to this occasion where you absolutely know that a win can, galvanize the entire unit, take you forwards from here. So I think the occasion was there as well. Everybody was pressing multiple high turnovers. We've not seen that. And I really wanted to also talk about Joao Pedro because interestingly, up until this point in time, he's not missed a single chance, big chance in the Premier League. And he missed 3 today. And since the time he's made his debut for us in the Club World Cup, he's had 5 shots and he had 5 today. So I would rather that my striker miss big chances than not have them at all. So I think this is just like having him in this position and, allowing him, get those nervousness out of, the nerves out of the way, make sure that you give him sights on goal. And like Dennis mentioned, getting those high pressing opportunities are going to be big things when you don't have somebody like a Cole Palmer giving you that spark of genius.
When you kind of think about it, the way that he can kind of contribute. He only had 5 non-penalty goals for Brighton last season. I mean, and so this one brings him up to 3 with 10 total appearances in the Premier League for Chelsea this season. So like very, very good opportunity to kind of continue pressing forward for Joao Pedro and, hit kind of a high watermark here for just kind of total kind of goal contributions that he can kind of make both from a striker standpoint and then also assisting other players as well. I think what was interesting to me, Nick, was like there was a bit of hot and cold on the wing play. Like, I think, again, we're seeing Garnacho, I think, building, like stacking results and like finding a way to just be really, really like interesting in terms of how he gets into the box, how he's working with Cucurella, like a little bit of overlap here and there. And then on the opposite side, you see Pedro Neto, I think, who maybe could use just a little bit of rest. I feel like we're starting to see a little bit of the legs there, a little bit of the maybe missed shots or kind of like overstep element where if you'd given him maybe a little rest for like a sub out earlier in the game, like I think you could have done a lot more on the right-hand side of that attack for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty inconsistent today. I thought Garnacho was the better of the two wingers. But what you get with Neto is just a consistent and unrelenting chase. And that was clearly a part of our game. Like, I think Enzo Maresca, knows what Thomas Frank wants to do. Thomas Frank wants to play largely without the ball. It doesn't really, it's not bothering him to not have the ball. He just wants to hit on the break, and he has some assets to do that. But we never let them have clear opportunities to make some of those like long press breaking passes. And that's really what Pedro Neto does. Like, that's what he offers you is that sort of like consistent chase. I agree with you. If, Big Steve is on earlier, we probably have more going forward because I thought that Neto was terribly wasteful on the day going forward. But, we're in this position where I think Maresca is trying to just rotate midweek and weekends for various positions. And in a big game right now, until proven otherwise, I think he's going to always defer to Pedro Neto because he can trust him.
Yeah. I mean, just if you're looking at his overall stats on the day, it actually was the lowest rated player on the day for SofaScore. He is shooting in particular, kind of in total here, just obviously 0 goals, 0.32 XG, 3 total shots, 2 shots were on target. It did feel as if it was just maybe coming down to, again, a little bit of just maybe just like a half second behind some of the decision making, Dennis, in terms of where we've seen him be at like the highs and the highs of what he's doing. And I think to maybe Nick's point, just like how you rotate this attack over the coming weeks before the next international break and then through the end of the year, it is going to be pretty critical for Maresca to get right so that we can continue to build upon these type of results and figure out like what are the combinations of like wingers and attacker, central attacker that's going to work against the opposition we face.
Yeah, and I would say that like to piggyback off what Nick was saying is the reason why Neto gets so many of the minutes is because he doesn't just give you G&A. He's a guy that works hard off the ball. He's a guy that when you get in a transition, he's always an outlet there. Again, the end product is not always going to be there with him, but as a winger that can provide you with all the other things that you need to liberate other players on the pitch, he's that guy. I don't know if he trusts the likes of Esteval to give him a 90 where he's always switched on. He's looking up the pitch. He's worried about what's happening behind him as well. Like, it's just not, he's young, right? He's still figuring that stuff out. And, the pace and the power of the Premier League is another thing that we have to take into account as well. I like Esteval coming on and being that impact sub. I think that that's a good role for a young player to come in and, start to sharpen his teeth on the Premier League. Clearly, when you see him on the ball, he looks like he has the quality. He's probably the best on the ball as far as our wingers go, without question. But there's other pieces of this game that still need work, and he's going to bring them along slowly. You look at the other side, we're talking about the likes of Gittins, who had a very, very good game midweek against the Wolves. You want to see him come on now and be a little bit more influential in this game. As an impact sub, and unfortunately he was still struggling to find his footing in the game. Again, Garnacho, I thought that he's just frustrating to me. I'm not gonna lie, like, he's frustrating. He gets into great areas, and his touches are just a little bit too clumsy for me. I think that when he's marauding down that left flank, you always feel like he's either going to miscontrol it or something, right? It never feels like fluid for me, but he gave us some good minutes. He gave us some good minutes down the flank. He was a good outlet. And yeah, for me, it's a similar, the wingers are similar to how we look at our center backs, because when I see the opportunities that are being afforded to these guys, nobody's really snatching it and saying, this is my position. Nobody's going to take this away from me right now. I mean, with the exception of maybe Neto, just because of his understanding of what the manager's asking of him. I don't know if anyone else is actually just grabbing that position and making it their own. We're always finding, okay, well, fits and starts. He's okay here. He's doing okay here. He comes in, gives us some good minutes here, but it's never a consistent, like, here's my quality. I'm taking this position, and it's up for grabs. Let's just be real. There's not really been one winger that we've had so far this season that has said, this is my position right now. So yeah, we're young guys. We're just gonna have to take our time with them. And yeah, you're right. Maresca's gonna have to figure out what the right chemistry is, what the right balance is to get the right performances out of these guys.
And, Sam, as we kind of take a look at the complement of wingers, what were your assessments on the day, just in terms of Pedro Neto and Garnacho in terms of, starts? I know we had talked a little bit in the preview podcast about who we thought might get the start, who we thought might get the opportunity. Would we see Joao Pedro start or potentially get dropped? So I guess credit to Enzo Maresca for playing Joao Pedro into form by not dropping him. But from the winger perspective, like, what are you seeing, and how is it affecting maybe your stack ranking on, just one through 4 in terms of like who's number 1, who's number 2, 3, 4 of our winger complement?
I think it's quite interesting because you know exactly what you're going to get from those two wingers. With Garnacho, you know that he was in the 99th percentile for touches into the box. So this time you had two players get 9 touches in the penalty box. One was Joao Pedro, the other one was Alejandro Garnacho. So you know exactly he's going to get you into the box. He also created 2 shots on the day, which was, I think, from a winger quite decent. And Pedro Neto, even when he has a bad day, he's not able to offer you those, cut inside shots. He's going to work his butt off. I think the SOFA score rating happens because he got into 10 ground duels. You only won 2. And that sort of brings your ranking down because you haven't had much success. But in terms of being direct, in terms of being very good out of possession, both those wingers offer you the kind of performance we needed today. We were strong in the press. We won the ball back. We made it very hard for Spurs to play any kind of rhythm out at the back. So I think job well done. And you're hoping that the goals are a bonus. But first of all, like Arsenal, you want to be very strong out of possession.
Facts.
Nick, are you changing your stack ranking at all here for your attackers at the moment?
Not really. I feel like it would have been a pretty big risk to play Big Steve the entire match today, or to start with him. He will get blooded into these derby big games. Like, he already has a huge impact on one of them against Liverpool. Like, he will feel his way through these. I like fighters, and I think Pedro Neto is a fighter, and I agree that while some of the end product does leave a lot to be desired at times, I know you can win that way. I know you can win playing him, in a slightly more reserved sort of role. It is then incumbent upon your striker, your number 10, your left winger to make good quality decisions and score with the opportunities that they have, if that is going to be your tactical profile. And that, I think, is still kind of TBD, right, across the board. I don't think, despite Joao Pedro getting a goal today, first one since August, it's November 1st, that he's been that good this year. Candidly, I think he's been hurt and kind of off of it, and the lap is probably not a 20 goal a year striker when healthy, maybe, but I think he was like 12 last year. So the goals are really going to have to come from everywhere. And my hope is that it doesn't just have to be Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez saving our bacon every week from that perspective too, because I think it's asking a hell of a lot of two players who should be playing in midfield.
Liam Delap had 10 goals, just for a point of reference.
Was it 12 all? 12 all comms.
He had 12. So this is his league goals. He had 12 in total. Non-penalty goals was 10 across it. And then if you go and expand it like to all competitions, it was a little improved there, not by too much, just one extra one, which was technically ours for the Club World Cup. So I don't know if we really count that across the entirety of last season. As we think about maybe some of the other kind of elements of this game, and I think, we're getting some comments on YouTube just asking us to talk about some of the defenders as well that we haven't mentioned a whole lot. I think West Fofana getting a lot of call outs, getting a lot of shouts. Obviously another one who's been working himself back from a fitness challenge over the last multiple seasons, Nick. And now we're kind of in this situation here where, obviously Levi Colo's out, long term this season. We've had to kind of play around with like, who is that combination of individuals? And I think, Sam's earlier point about Trev having a really strong day on that yellow card that he shouldn't have gotten because it should have been a red for Ben Cantor. Like, just like, frankly, no one should have had to yell at the ref for that moment, but we had to anyway. But West Fofana had a good day.
Yeah, he did have a good day. I think this was a very casual game for a lot of our defenders. Like, there were very few moments where Spurs were able to get forward with any sort of numbers. And I think he had some early nervousness on the ball that really kind of exited his game as the game went on and he became more comfortable. He was playing some really excellent passes down the right wing by the end of the game. And I think was aerially, he is a joke when he's healthy. I mean, he's really, really difficult to beat in the air. It's just, is he ever healthy is the question. And, again, bags of talent, no one can deny it. I thought it was a huge risk playing him in this game, but again, he's one of these fighters as well. Like, he's not scared of anything. And I think in a derby game or in a big game, if it were me as manager, and thank God that I'm not, I would put as many of those guys who have a little bit of blood and thunder in their veins as possible, because Spurs came out to really frustrate us, to kick us, to make life really, really challenging, and the referee let them.
Exactly.
Which was it's a whole other topic that we'll talk about at the end of this show is the refereeing performance, but I thought that Fofana was well up for this, and I was really pleased about that because, Dennis, for me, when healthy, I put him in the Pedro Neto category of Maresca's favorite players. Like, I think he will absolutely be in the starting lineup if he's fit and firing.
Yeah, and rightfully so. He's quality, right? Like, everything that you want from a center back to play in this particular system, high line, press resistance. He's probably not the best passer of the ball, which is why you'll never see him in the middle, really, the middle of a three. But in terms of like the aggressiveness that he plays with, and the fact that this guy plays with like an unbridled amount of confidence, like this guy, to me, like when I watch Fofana on the ball, he just trusts himself. He has a he just has a high opinion of his footballing ability, and it comes to the fore every time he's on the pitch, right? So yeah, like it's fitness. It's always going to come down to fitness for this guy. Can he stay healthy? And that is epitomizes his career so far. Can he stay healthy? But overall, like as a footballer, like I said before, how Maresca likes to use his center backs and what we need from those positions, he possesses the lot. He absolutely possesses a lot. Aerial ability, like you said, Nick, like, again, just so commanding in the air. You never feel like threatened from crosses when you see him back there. I mean, there's times where I watch Tosin play. Tosin's like 6'6", something like that, and he never feels aerially dominant the way that Fofana does, which is quite odd to me. He's got an incredible leap on him. Again, like I spoke to his press resistance, his recovery pace is there. This is what you need to play in a high line. You have to have these characteristics about your game. And yeah, our fortunes will change as a football club when we can find the health and fitness for the likes of, Wesley Fofana, the likes of Colwell, the likes of, Cole Palmer, all these guys. And because I'm a firm believer, number one, like I didn't get to touch on this when we were talking about like Joao Pedro. Steel sharpens steel. Like when you don't have anyone that is like fighting you in for the shirt in training, your level drops, right? It's just a fact of life. You need people that are pushing you. And when we lost the lap, oddly enough, Joao Pedro's level drops. When you lose the likes of Fofana, who's a quality center back, the quality from the rest fall down as well. So yeah, I just feel like if we can keep these guys fit, we'll see a completely different Chelsea altogether. But I thought Trevoh was actually quite good as well. Just to be honest, doesn't use his left well enough for him to play on that left side as well. I felt like everything that was coming to the left was always going back into the middle again, where right into the mouth of the fire. And we need him to use his left, trust his left a little bit more if he's going to play on that side. But overall, he played mistake-free football, which is what you want to see when you're in a derby.
Dan, I'd also throw Cucurella into the consideration for man of the match for me. I thought Cucurella was excellent today. He clearly loves these situations. Like, he thrives in the face of danger. And there were plenty of moments where Cucurella got himself into the mixer, both after a dead ball foul or, in the midst of, trying to channel all of his energy into Mohamed Kudus, who did fuck all day. Yeah,
Who was it?
It was
Simmons.
bad.
Who? Like, yeah. I mean, it was definitely the Who squad. Like, who is actually playing for this team? Who is trying to win? Not anybody on that side of the pitch for sure.
Really weird.
And by the way, I totally forgot that Kolo Muani signed for Spurs. That was like their big.
Played for them?
I did too. He barely did anything. So I just thought Cucurella, like in games like this, you're like, okay, you got the left back, you got the right back, you have the midfielder in the world, and you just need the other pieces to do enough to get you the win. But you feel like the spine of the team is relatively solid. The fact that Malo Gusto pocketed Xavi Simons hopefully cuts down on all the transfer talk from this summer about all the player we're missing, But yeah, just really, really, really fun stuff there.
I'm going to throw a fun stat at you. So with the 0.05 XG, that is the fourth lowest XG in a single match by a team in the Premier League ever.
Wow. Wow.
It's happened again. That is a wonderful element in terms of fun stats for this one. What are your thoughts, maybe just again general, any other comments, things that you kind of took walking away from this match, particularly as we look ahead? Obviously, we continue our Champions League kind of run coming up in very, very short order. We have plenty of matches left to play in this month as we kind of get ahead here. We'll play Spurs again we'll play Wolves again next weekend as well, after having beaten them in the League Cup. Like, again, matches coming fast and furious. Rotation is going to be very key. It's going to be nice to not have to go a game with not getting a red card again is super nice. Like, all really good things, Nick.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be nice to not have Jared Gillett referee our game in the Champions League.
There you go. Go off. I know you've been waiting to talk about him.
What the fuck, man? I mean, it was genuinely like playing against 12 men today. Like I know you could say that at various points throughout the week. This is just an abysmal refereeing performance from Jared Gillett. I mean, it's so petty. I don't even understand where that came from. I'm fine if you want to card people for talking to you or whatever when they shouldn't be talking to you. But like, everything that we did was a foul. Nothing that they did was a foul. They have two pretty awful challenges to our one, and ours is the one. And Enzo Fernandez's challenge that gets the serious VAR consideration. It's a joke. This is a joke of a performance. He is very fortunate that Chelsea win this game after being so dominant and having all the statistical, pluses and everything like that, because his performance should be scrutinized heavily. This is a horrific refereeing performance. And every week it seems to get worse, Dennis. I don't know where to go here. Like, it's so bad when you want Anthony Taylor to ref your game.
Slow down there. Let's
not
get carried away.
I know.
Get carried away. But no, I agree. I thought it was like a very, very, very poor performance. And when we talk about, consistency, I saw your tweet about like these refs being consistent, they're just lacking the consistency. And I think that consistency is just linked to quality, right? Like quality and consistency go hand in hand. And if you're not a quality ref, your consistency is going to fall, right? So yeah, poor performance, not just from Miguelette. Like honestly, the red card incident on Reece James, VAR could have looked at that and saw that that was a clear red and did nothing about it, right?
It was
You know,
Pawson. Pawson was the VAR today.
well,
too.
I mean,
That's
it could be anybody. It's the same thing, regardless of who it is, right? Like it's these guys. Again, 10-cent refs, man. You said it before, and Nick, and I agree 100%. It's just we cannot continue to have like $1 billion, industry here and have these refs that are just so poor. Like I long for nights in the Champions League and stuff like that, just to see the quality of the refereeing just pick up that much more. It's crazy, right? To think that you're waiting to see a ref from Estonia, a ref in a Champions League game, rather than watching like the English Premier League refs. That's crazy to me. But yeah, we persevered. We were able to continue to play our football despite the poor refereeing decisions that continue to befall on us. And yeah, for that, I commend the guys again. No, don't lose your heads.
Shouts to those Estonian refs, baby. Look.
Yeah, we always talk about Estonian refs on the podcast as being the premier officiators of global football. Enzo Maresca's comments have dropped as of time of live podcast recording, so I'm just going to rip through a couple of those and we can kind of react to them. Enzo Maresca saying, I'm happy with the 3 points, especially because we kept the clean sheet, which we should call it again. Keeping a clean sheet, phenomenal work. We need that for the future. We are going to score goals, but we need to do better defensively. Check, agree. Talked about the performance being good on and off the ball. The way that we press was very important. Also very good at that versus Liverpool. You need to do that if you want to be close to the top. I think we would all agree on that one. And then he dropped a little bit of love on both Reece James and Moises Caicedo, saying Moy is showing how good he is. He's top. He's the best. The best thing for him, he's humble. He's such a good guy, and he's there to help everyone. Him and Rodri are the best defensive midfielders in the world. So that's the where the class is that Enzo Maresca is setting for best defensive midfielders in all of global football, which that would be a good grouping of top players for sure. I think we're nodding yes on that one. And then the last comment he had here was just around, we need a little bit more physicality in the midfield. Depends on the game plan. Reece is doing fantastic in midfield and fullback and in terms of leadership in the changing room. And then he did talk about Joao Pedro, mentioned that he's still not 100% fit in every game. So that's kind of your Enzo Maresca comments on the day. All I think kind of hit, Nick, in terms of just what we've seen, what we saw in this match, and what Enzo Maresca is kind of getting out of the team.
Yeah, nothing surprising there. I mean, I think Rodri from a couple of years ago, perhaps, but Moy is clear as it is today. And, I just, you got to figure out, hopefully Lavia gets himself to some sort of fitness, right? That he can start subbing in for Caicedo in matches because we're winning, and, give him break in the midweeks where we feel like we can take those risks like we did this past week. Because to get Moises Caicedo at 100% is just simply, there's nothing in world football that can touch him. And if he's not at 100%, I think that's where you get the gaps. And so a game like today, pressing, getting the assist for the only goal of the game, like he's a wizard, man. He is working his way towards Michael Essien, who's on the back of this shirt, towards N'Golo Kante, who is my favorite ever player.
I'm wearing my Essien shirt too, by the way.
Hey,
look at that! It's like you guys planned it.
So yeah,
wow.
I just don't. I want him to be healthy, and I want him to be able to really like go full bore into these big games because we got a hell of a lot of them coming up.
I just want to quickly touch on what you're saying there, Nick, on the the Lavia piece, and I think it's important. Like he has to just stay healthy, like, because if he can liberate Caicedo and allow Caicedo to be that more box to box 8 getting forward rather than that sort of like a little bit more reserved 6, I think that's another level just another level of quality, that we'll get from Caicedo. So again, we need to see a level of fitness from yet another Chelsea player, Lavia. And he will liberate again the likes of Caicedo to allow him to get forward and be even more effective. Like winning the ball for the goal was just that's not even the tip of the iceberg for what this guy can do when in those areas. Like, he's a great striker over the ball. He has a good eye for a pass as well. These are the things that you want to see in those areas. And if he can get more touches there, I think that we'll see, that top level performance that we know we can get from him.
The one last comment from the post-match press conferences that I will read was just one from Thomas Frank talking about the Betancourt and Enzo Fernandez challenges, where he said they were yellowish and it was either 2 reds or 2 yellows. And if I'm honest, they were 2 yellows. Hard disagree, my man. Hard disagree on that one, 1000%.
I mean, I think he is fortunate that he didn't give a red to Enzo when he should have given it to the Spurs player as well. I thought they were both bad challenges. I really, because Enzo's is up on the thigh. It's a bad challenge.
Him, though. He barely touched him.
It doesn't matter though. They're gonna look at it in slow-mo, and I don't trust VAR to make good decisions. Like, I think that's a pretty straightforward thing. I think the Reece one is terrible. Like, it looks like a bad challenge in real time, but I just whatever. Like, I'm cool with them both being yellows if that is the consistency that we're looking for. That's fine with me. They're either both yellows or both reds. I agree with that statement, and I am happy that we didn't get another red.
Fair.
It's a very nice thing to not end up with another red card to start the month of November. Again, this match happening on the 1st of November, recording then. If you're listening back on podcast form, it might be listening on the 2nd or 3rd of November. So hopefully you enjoyed it then. But look, we're ending our live stream on YouTube. We appreciate everybody jumping on and joining in the conversation with us. Don't forget, if you want to support the podcast, you can like, subscribe, hit the bell icon on YouTube to get notified. Nick probably also wants to remind people that time is coming up short. If you'd like to join us in London across the festive fixture window into the new year, over 20 people now, Nick, signed up. I mean, we talked about 16 people earlier in the week. We're over 20 now. It's going to be quite the rockin' group heading over to London with us.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a trip of ours if one of the games didn't get moved last minute because of TV. So the City game obviously gets moved. We're working on solutions for that, obviously, trying to figure out what we're going to do with the extra day. But it's an extra day over the holidays in London and or Manchester. It'll be magic. So please shoot us an email, contact@londonisbluepodcast.com, and we'll get you sorted.
All right. Well, again, don't forget, if you want to help support the podcast, you also leave 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's always appreciated. You can sign up for our free weekly newsletter, the London Blue Dispatch, or you get involved in Discord in a free or paid capacity. That's going to do it for this live broadcast of London Blue Podcast. Thanks to Dennis. Thanks to Sam for joining us as well. For Nick and me, till next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.